What's up, Grassroots World? I'm Chris Logan.
I'm Ernie Barber.
And we are the Flagrant 2. Coach, what's happening?
Looking forward to state tournament, man. Talking a little 4A basketball today and, anything else in between. So it's going to be a good episode. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, 4A on down, like we talked about last week. They're already, full steam ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow is one of the busiest days in Oklahoma high school basketball where you got 5A, 6A boys and 4A and almost – I think someone said there's like 150-something teams playing tomorrow or something like that, or 150 games, something like that, some crazy amount of number. But, I mean, talk about February madness. Here we go, you know. And like I said, in Class A, there's already been a couple upsets. And some of the smaller classes, they've already had a couple upsets. But, there's going to be a whole lot more of that starting tomorrow as we get going. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm kind of going through the areas. So the districts are through in 4A, and some matchups are set up for regionals now. And they've got regionals. The playoff setup is in Area 1, 2, 3, and 4 in 4A. So,
yes.
I'll talk a little bit about that when we're ready to do it, go through Area 1, 2, 3, and 4 and kind of talk about the matchups coming for regionals, which there's some interesting matchups there. And obviously, we'll see kind of what happens. But and I've got a little I told you earlier or late last week, I went to the Sulphur Plainview basketball game last weekend, and I found
anything stand out to you there?
I found a diamond, and I'll talk about him maybe a little bit later in the podcast. But as far as the basketball is concerned, it was a tight game first half, 26 all, and ultimately Sulphur lost to Plainview, and obviously they're a 4A matchup, so. We can talk a little bit about that, but I'll get into this individual later in the podcast. I do want to give a shout out to the Sulphur coach. I've got friends of mine that he has relation to, and he's had a tough season, but he's got young guys on that team, and one like I said, I'll talk a little bit later in the podcast. Really, really good, talented kid, but a young group of guys compete hard, but have had a little bit of a tough season. But shout out to him for putting in the time and effort and trying to grow the players there at Sulphur. He's doing a good job. I could see that team in the next couple of years, being able to be pretty competitive. But their guys have got a little growing to do. But it's fun to get out to basketball games, especially in smaller towns sometimes, in some teams that you wouldn't normally get to see.
Yeah.
Outside of the metro areas, so I enjoyed that, and like I said, we got to spend some time with friends during the game a little bit, and then after the game. So, but there's a diamond out there. And like I said, I'll talk about that toward the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to try to get through, 4A to maybe 2A, but for time purposes, it's tough. I mean, that's what we talked about last pod, that when you get into 4A and below, when you have 4 different sections of teams, it's just so many teams to cover. But I definitely think we can get through, at least the current rounds that they have in 4A and 3A and try to go through at least each game and give a pick. And then if you want to go a little further and advance on who you might think, I mean, it's just really how many teams can we get in today. We're going to try to pack it all into one, episode of a lot of knowledge and a lot of teams. And, definitely an audience will want to hear what we have to say. I think we just jump right into 4A. I think we can go right off the winner's side because they've already had a round of games that were last Saturday night, that was a game you went to of Plainview and Sulphur.
Yep.
But let's just jump into the winner's bracket, which they play Thursday night. And that's, once again, like I said, you got so many games tomorrow night. Have fun choosing which game you're going to go to.
I'll tell you right now, I've already picked because you and I disagreed on it, and we picked the Piedmont-Westmore game. I'll probably go to that in Norman.
Okay.
I'll do that 7:30. I'm anxious to see because I think that's going to be a really tight match. Little difference of styles of play.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. There's a couple other games that the Norman North Edmond Santa Fe game I think is going to be really good.
It's one of those things where I wish I could be in multiple places.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's just no way around it. The game I'm probably going to go attend is another one where we picked opposite, and that's Mustang and West.
Yes,
PC West.
That's the other one.
So I know I took Mustang and you took PC West. So I'm going to go check that out. And these are double headers. They're 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So that'll be Edmond North versus Capitol Hill. I'm expecting that to be out of hand.
I think you're safe
rather quickly. but
safe.
Hey, any given Sunday, any given Thursday, we'll call it what it is. But so many good matchups all across the state. I think that there should be some good ones, like you said. I think that it's probably going to be the regional championships and more of the area championships when we get into the 4A and down. If you want those, quote unquote power type matchups, that's what you're going to have to see. Obviously, you get a little bit more competitive in the higher levels of 5A and 6A, but there has already been some upsets, so it's not like it can't happen. I mean,
absolutely.
So let's just jump right into Area 1. The first game I see here is Blanchard versus Plainview.
Yep.
Who you got?
I got Blanchard. I talked to the Blanchard coach during the Plainview Sulphur game. He was doing a little scouting of Plainview, whoever won. I like they've got really good guard play. I think at Blanchard, not a ton of size, only a couple guys over probably 6'3". So they rely heavily on guard play, but I think they've got an advantage over Plainview. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Blanchard.
Okay, and I think that right off the bat, I'm on upset alert. I'm taking Plainview. I like Jason Dodson a lot at their lead guard, and I think that he's going to, he came over from Dixon last year.
Correct.
I think he's going to do some special things. Blanchard, I mean, they do got one dude with some size, and Ross Johnston is kind of like 6'6" kid.
6'6".
I think he plays football as well. Big, strong, physical kid. So I do like him to do some damage down on the block for Blanchard. But I got an upset special already. I got Plainview upsetting them and moving on.
Plainview, you mentioned the guard there. He's a special player. He likes to penetrate and find his teammates.
Yes.
He's great in transition, sees the floor well. He's definitely the player on Plainview he's the kind of the fuel that makes the engine go for them. Really, he's a good player. My thing is if you concentrate on him and limit him getting paint touches, they struggle to score the basketball at times if he's not really, doing his thing. Now, he's hard to keep out because they put the ball in his hands and let him play. So
yeah, he's a strong guard, physical, and he's a kind of a change of pace. That's what I like about him.
Loaded with confidence, too. The kid believes in himself, and like you and I have always talked about on this podcast, 80% of how you do in sports is a lot of it's tied to, one, the work you put in but the confidence you get from that, and then showing it every time you come out on the floor, and he's loaded with confidence. So.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that we're going to try to stay on the winner side. I know that we have a whole nother side. That's the crazy part.
We don't have enough time.
That's
in this
the crazy
podcast.
part about these smaller classes that they're already going on the other side.
Yep.
So we're going to try to stick on the winner side, and just for time purposes, because trust me, we could talk all day about that other side too as well. Tuttle, Broken Bow, who you got?
Oh man, I'm going Broken Bow.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good pick. Graydon Howell, who I've mentioned prior, is one of the top freshmen in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say he's averaging in the 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. As a freshman, I don't care what class you're in. You're coming in, and he's that lefty. I've talked about him. He just looks like that, got that lefty sweet shot he has, dynamic guard, a kid to me that because he plays down there in Broken Bow, he's not as well known. If he was here in the city or Tulsa, every person in the state would know his name.
He's a kid that may end up, getting close to 3,000 points in his high school career if he's averaging over 30.
Yeah.
As a freshman,
well, and he's
already.
got multiple games of over 45 already.
Yeah,
so that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And for Tuttle, I would just say Richie Overcash is having a great season for them, and Gabriel Avilar as well.
They do good things there. Obviously, they've had really good teams, been a strong program for many years. So, I mean, that's a tough one. You could flip a coin on that.
I'd probably say I'll take Tuttle, you take Broken Bow.
So we got two of us, right out the box, man.
We're sticking out. I mean, we're going to have our brackets out. I want to have a chance to pull ahead and who gets the most wins. We can't. If we have all the same wins, it's never going to happen. So, but I think Richie Overcash is actually having a great season for Tuttle, the guard, senior. He's just been scoring it from a high clip, hitting shots from all over. I think he's got tournament MVP in a few of their tournaments. He's just really playing well. In fact,
we're going to stick to the winners brackets, correct?
Winner side.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, I would love to do but we would have to have an entire episode just for 4A.
No.
And
you're
for
right.
time restraints, I think we need to go.
We've got 4 areas to cover.
Yeah, I think we got to go with just a winner side for now. And with that said, that doesn't mean that there's not a team right now on that other side that makes it to state. Because obviously 2 teams are going to go to state.
I think there will. Obviously there will be, but that'll be interesting to see which ones do. I have some thoughts around it, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, because I mean, just like we talked about upsets, Tuttle was upset Ada already. Ada was the number 9 team on this bracket, and they've already been beat. And then that's the same with Bing and Broken Bow. Mm-hmm. So 2 underdogs have moved on, and Ada and Bing now have to play each other, which will be a great matchup. On the loser side.
Yeah, but Bing's got some size, too. I mean, they've got a kid that's, 6'10"?
Yeah, the Rainies.
Yes, the Rainey. You got the Rainey brothers. Yep. And the younger Rainey is 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in there. So
Malachi Shilruff, the point guard, another stud kid that's, goes under a lot of radars.
Somebody you want to play. Let's just put it that way.
And he's committed to I think he's committed to Redlands.
Yes,
I believe he did just recently. So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we could go on this all day and talk about those matchups, but I think we need to stick to the winners. If we see somebody on that left side that you think, hey, they're a for sure contender, I think that then we might mention them just for time restraints. But I think that that's the best matchup in this thing as far as right now is actually on the loser side in Ada and Bing, and I would have a hard time picking that. I'd probably favor Ada. They've had a better, more consistent season, but Bing, the Malachi Shilruff factor, he's good enough to just single-handedly beat you and with the size they got. So,
totally agree.
So I would probably take Ada, but that's the other side. So I've got Tuttle, you've got Broken Bow. Next, Community Christian versus Ulaga. Yeah, that's a name right there, boy. Yeah, I'll tell you what. But with that said, Community Christian I'm taking.
Yeah, we agree on that. Destin Edwards and you got Boxy over there.
Yeah,
between those two, and they've got good role players.
Deacon Pritchard. Yeah. I think they've got some guys.
They've got some guys that can shoot the basketball, can play basketball. I pick, and of course, coming off of the win that they had in districts. I mean, they pretty much. There was no denying that 76 to 28 against Hera. They pretty much.
I think that what you're going to see is Boxy Wallace is just too athletic. Yep. I think he's going to stand out, a man amongst boys in a sense. But I think that you're going to see Destin, set him up and get him going first, and then look to get his shot. And he's done a great job over the last couple months.
That has been the formula all year. Yep. When I watched him play on Squirtle, and then obviously going to the games, it's Destin plays very unselfish basketball, high efficiency shooter, probably one of the best shooters in the state, regardless of class. I mean, there are other shooters out there. I'm not saying people aren't good shooters. We've got plenty of them in Oklahoma. No shortage of guards in the state, but certainly I put him up there. Very, very efficient, smart, selfless. Sometimes I feel like he could be even a little more selfish in terms of making sure helping the team score when sometimes they go through lulls. And I will say this: when Community Christian goes and they meet teams, when they played OCS, for instance, and Luke Gray, obviously, Boxy didn't get the paint touches that he normally would get, and he didn't get the looks that he sometimes would get in the paint area with the dribble penetration. And so those types of games are games where Destin, needs to step up for the team, and he did. He did the second half. He scored points at a pretty good clip, but just not enough. Early on, I think it was probably if he would have started out the game the way he finished, they probably would have been a lot more competitive in that game. But they're a really good team, well coached. I look to see them win. I think
pretty handily.
Pretty handily there.
Yeah, and I think the last one is your number 1 overall seed. You have Weatherford taking on Manford. So, I mean, I think
Do we have to pick that one?
Yeah, you got to pick it.
But Weatherford all the way. I've got Weatherford. I picked them to win it all earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I will say this, and had this conversation with the Blanchard coach in the stands. And let him know, hey, look, Douglas's guard play is, things have changed since the beginning of the season. I think we all understand that. Douglas and Weatherford, I unless something crazy happens, which it's never out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
But unless something crazy happens, I see those two meeting each other in the finals, depending on how everything plays out, of course.
Yeah, I think that there's pretty much – it's almost becoming now a foregone conclusion that everybody in the state believes it's going to be Douglas Weatherford. But we'll get to that again.
Yes.
I mean, we both picked Weatherford preseason.
Correct.
Had we known that Douglas was taking on a top 2 kid maybe in the state, in his class, we probably might have changed our pick on that point. So
switch to Area 2.
So yes, Area 2's first game.
Stillwell and Stigler.
Yes, I mean I'm taking Stillwell.
I'm taking Stillwell as well.
And I think that, and I remember him doing really well last year in state. Stillwell's been a good program for a while. Yeah. They play an exciting brand of basketball. The way that they move the ball is similar to the Dale style. Like it's very crisp passes. They make the extra pass. Tyrese Teehee has been great. He was great in state last year. He's had some monster games this year. Braden George, Keller Hitcher. They've got some guys that have experience playing deep into the playoffs, and I think you're going to see that on this run that they take. I've got Stillwell as a heavy favorite in that, and by a lot.
Well, and I would say this too, is that you mentioned the style of play. It's all come down to style of play, and when you talk about teams sharing the basketball and all guys can contribute offensively, it's hard to beat teams like that. That's how I try to mold the teams I put together on the AAU side.
Yep.
And that's why it's so difficult. If you've got guys that can shoot from the perimeter and you've got guys that rebound and guys that are kind of committed to roles, and they're selfless and they're good players on top of that, man, it's tough. So Stillwell, I totally agree with you on that.
Yep, and I think that moving right along, North Rock Creek versus Wagner. North Rock Creek to me, I mean, and they're another team like Stillwell. They've had a lot of experience.
Yep.
And they've been very good over the last couple of seasons. Like they're building. That's a program to me that's been building, and those kids have really bought into the program.
Yeah.
Devin Haney, lights out shooter.
Yep.
Caleb Hawkins, super stud athlete, a 2-sport stud, football, basketball.
One of the hottest teams coming into the season. They were just lighting everybody up, and then they've since cooled off a little bit. Had a couple games where they didn't play particularly well. Obviously, we know the game against, I think it was a Weatherford.
Yeah.
Where
they're one of the higher scoring teams in the state, so they're going to look to get into a track meet.
Yep.
Wagner is not a slouch. I mean,
no.
As a matter of fact, they beat Nathan Hale to get into this, who arguably has 2 of the best kids in the 25 class on the same team in Cabron Lewis and DeMario Adams. So they're not a slouch, Wagner, at all.
No.
NRC to me, though, too potent of offense. I've got NRC moving on.
NRC won 79-43 in the district matchup against Bristow, and then Wagner beat Nathan Hale 59-55 in a tough matchup there. So you're absolutely right. Really solid matchup there. It's all, like you say, style of play.
And I'm interested to see, and we know we're not trying to go too much on the other side, but I'm interested to see. I have a feeling Cabron Lewis isn't going to let Nathan Hale go down this.
No.
I have a feeling you're going to see a major bounce back in their next game against Bristow.
Bristow's going to have their hands full in that that round.
There better be a whole lot of Cabron Lewis and DeMario Adams in that game if Nathan Hale wants to move on and continue their season, and I expect them to do that. So next game is a great game where you got 2 ranked teams, Bridge Creek and Newcastle. Who you got?
Wow. Because I went through I kind of did my research on this and through the season, and Newcastle got the better of Bridge Creek, I believe, during the regular season. I'm going to stick with that and go with Newcastle.
Yep, in the upset.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I am going to take Newcastle as well. Now, Bridge Creek, Jacob Ojeda has had a great season, great career at Bridge Creek. One of the better players that's probably not talked about a lot. Sophomore Landon Smith moved over there from Mustang. He can shoot the ball. Grayson Robertson is kind of a athletic kid that they have, can do some stuff, got a little height to him.
Really good team, Bridge Creek, and I really like the coach too. I spent some time talking to him during tournaments. He and I got to chat a little bit about basketball. I think he's doing a great job. Obviously going to be a part of Southern Ties this spring and summer, so shout out to him. He's an up and comer. I think got many years ahead of him. So.
Yeah, Bridge Creek's in that same boat with NRC and Stillwell. They're like teams that have been building the program, the culture. It's all there.
Yep.
It's just going to be, can they continue to reload in each class and continue to keep on that?
Well, with the new OSA rules, you just never can tell.
I mean, I mean, like I said, whatever team is not very good this year could be the powerhouse next year.
Correct.
That is going to be on who the coaches are.
Yep.
The coach relationships have mattered. They will matter no more than they ever have mattered this upcoming summer.
I'll just throw it out
July
there.
1st.
If anybody needs any help as a high school staff, I certainly am available. If you guys want to call me for next year, I'm available.
Yeah, get Coach Barber on staff. And I, however, I'm not available, but I'm good on that. Too many parents calling. I'm dealing with that. But trust me, I deal with that right now. So that's a whole nother level. But Newcastle, once again, Coach Brown, the team is very experienced as far as they've been far in the playoffs.
Yep.
They know what it's like to be in big time games. Bobby Burrell, the senior, I expect him to do well. Zach Craig, shooter in the 25 class. Tone Brown played in a lot of big games in spring and summer. Been a kid that kind of just steps up in big moments and can hit some big time shots. So I like Newcastle as well in that upset.
I think it'll be a close game, though.
Yeah, and shout out to Dondo again. We mention him all the time. He picking Newcastle to go to state, so that's what he's wanted to let the world know.
That's a tough one. I'm not saying
it's not a bad. It's not a bad. If you're going to go with a team that maybe not everyone would pick, that's not a bad pick.
No, not at all. There's a number of them that are out there in that area that what I would call a fringe that are definitely capable of being a state qualifying team, and they're certainly in that group.
Yeah, and then I think that and that's a great matchup, and the next one is a great matchup.
Yep.
I like that little part of the bracket down there because we're going to get a good game in the regional championship for sure.
Yep.
And then we should get something good in the area championship.
Man, I'll tell you what, this is you're getting into some really good stuff here.
So we've got Bishop McGuinness taking on number 7 Bethany. I'm going to say this right now. I wouldn't be surprised if McGuinness won, but I'm taking Bethany.
I'm taking Bethany.
Bethany has been great this season. Aiden Todd, is
unbelievable season.
Just killing it.
Yeah, killing it.
Coach Cannon doing a great job. I love Coach Brown's team at McGuinness. I like what they do.
Yep.
With me, for them to win this, it's just going to be, can they catch fire from the perimeter?
Yeah.
Jet Schaefer is the leader of that team at point guard. They got a freshman in Brody Parks who can light it up from 3. Cooper Bradley, great player.
Yep.
It's almost not an upset if McGuinness won that game.
No, it's really not.
By any means to me, but I would stay with Bethany.
Yeah.
But I never count out the Irish. They'll show up when you don't expect them to.
I mean, if you look at the history of Bishop McGuinness, they've always put out really good basketball teams, and even years that they may not be as competitive, they still find a way to compete. Well coached. They're going to vie for it, and even if they lose that game, I still wouldn't want to play them in the consolation bracket.
No, and like I said, if McGuinness is on fire, they're going to. And I think McGuinness next year is going to be really good.
Yes.
I think that they're going to be one of the main teams in 4A next year.
And this could be a come out party for them too. So
there's no doubt about that. They could absolutely be Bethany, but I think you're going to see too much Aiden Todd, too much Wyatt Geisler in this game, and I think it's just going to be too much. They're great at. Todd is great at probing the lane and kicking it out to Wyatt, and I think you're going to see a lot of that.
Yep.
Now, if Bishop is just, if the freshman Brody Parks can hit a bunch of outside shots, which he's had a couple games this season where he's hit 6-7 threes.
Yep.
If he can do that in this type of setting, they can definitely win that game. So I definitely wouldn't put it past them by any means. So that's area 2, correct?
Yeah.
Let's hop into area 3. Trying to pull this up as we go.
And just going back through this,
go ahead.
Aiden Todd, where did he end up? Where did he land for summer ball, spring and summer?
For last year?
No, for this year.
I think he's with team.
Was it Team Oklahoma?
Oklahoma. I think that's where he's at. Yeah.
Because I reached out and thought that might be a good fit. He was one of my choices.
A lot of teams reached out to me about asking questions about him. I think that when you talk about a traditional point guard, everybody needs one. A real point guard. But not only is he, like some of the kids we talk about, he can flat score the ball.
Yeah.
He's got some of the craftier. It's those Cal Furnish finishes around the rim where you don't have to be big and super athletic.
Correct.
But when you got the English and you can, flip that thing up left-handed and some of those scoop shots that they both have from either side of the lane and things like that, it's just tough for defenders to block that.
I've got 2 good guys I'm really excited about with Destin and Easton. I'm really excited about both those guys, so I feel confident in my choices there.
You got 2 good guards right there. So there's you're in good hands with those guys.
Class in SAS and Pauls Valley.
I'm going to say Class in SAS, and I really like. They're a sophomore team. They're a young team.
They're a young team.
They're a team that's going to be.
Next couple years,
they're going to be a problem
like
for sure.
Yep.
I've got to get back into this bracket. This thing is moving all over the place.
You got the private schools there with the young core group of guys that can play. With SAS, and you just mentioned McGinnis. So.
Yep. And shout out to V-Dog because I do use his brackets. They're pretty good.
Which, by the way, this is something we got to just chat about. Why you just. You and I talked about it earlier about putting out our state brackets and then having people fill them out and send them in. We're going to do this for the final 8 in each class, and we're going to put those out. And then we'll give you an email. We'll put it out on social media. Give you an email that you can send in your brackets of your choices, and then the winner of the. All the brackets, whoever wins the most, and we'll kind of give a point system. It's pretty simple, but those that win will have some prizes for you that are Flagrant 2 prizes. So
get you a Flagrant 2 merch pack or something like that.
Yes, a merch pack that we'll provide, and you guys can wear that around, and then you'll see that out there for everyone to order and participate in. But those that win the brackets will be provided a nice little merch packet. So want to put that out there. We'll put more out of that on social media as we get closer, but something I wanted to throw out there. We want a little engagement from the fan base and for those that are listening. And I think it'd be fun just to kind of see what everybody picks and who comes away as a winner for all the classes. It'll be fun and exciting. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, one thing is we want fan engagement. We want the community to engage in what we do because that's what makes this so special. Is that you have a place to come where you have 2 basketball guys with extensive basketball backgrounds trying to give you the best information and the most credible information as we possibly can. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to help in the recruitment. We want to help in the exposure.
Yep.
But we also want the community to engage with us and kind of make this something that it's for the state and it's also for the region. We don't just want to stop in Oklahoma. We want to get the DFW area involved, the Kansas City, whatever. We want to promote these guys and kids. And if you're in those areas listening in, give us a shout, DM us, send us an email, and maybe we have something we can do to help out your team or get you guys some notoriety or heck, get you guys to come on. And I know I have had quite a bit of people reach out to me from all over the country like, could I come on? So being that we do it in studio, if we can get them in studio, we will do it. Now, hopefully we'll do some stuff satellite or remote here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But for now, we will try to work
all
our
up
way.
and down that I-35 corridor. I mean, when you look at going to Wichita and even further north from there and then DFW and down through, I mean, obviously going into to Texas, I mean, certainly want to It'll take a life of its own, but we really want the engagement from the Oklahoma crowd and getting behind the boys and picking teams. It's always fun. Everybody does their NCAA brackets. Why not do state championship brackets and see how it plays out and get a little engagement. So it'll be fun.
Yep. And so you want to go back to Area 3 now?
Area 3, so, Anadarko and Marlowe?
No, well, SAS and Pauls Valley.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Pauls Valley's had a great season. I'm going class in SAS. The sophomore trio of Evan Gunn at point guard, TJ McNeely, big-bodied, 6'3.5", 6'4", kind of a hybrid post, forward.
I'm going to go SAS too.
Yeah, and then Pablo Williams. I like the sophomore trio. I think they're just too much for Pauls Valley to handle. I got class in SAS moving on in that one. Darko and Marlowe, who you got?
Oh, Darko. I'm definitely going Darko. Shout out to my guy Dondo. Definitely going Darko.
Yeah, and we talked about Darko in one of the last episodes, talking about how we thought that they were probably going to have a down season, being that they were so senior laden last year and they lost all those guys.
They've way exceeded what I thought originally earlier in the year.
I think that Trenton Walker and Jordan Kangi, the two juniors, I think that once again experience. Anadarko has played in a lot of games deep into the playoffs. I think Jordan Kangi's defense is going to be too much. I think Trenton Walker's going to hit some big shots. I look for Anadarko to win that game. I think that one's going to be tight, though. I think it's going to be tighter than most people think.
I think it's going to be a good game, no doubt.
I think that's going to be a tighter matchup than you think. I think Marlowe is a little underrated. I mean, they blasted on Ardmore, and Ardmore is not bad at all. So
not at all. But
I think
I'll say Anadarko has been in the top 7 all year in terms of 4A. So I'm gonna go with Anadarko just because of they've had a strong schedule.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I feel like they're gonna make some waves. I think they're a state qualifying team and certainly have a really good opportunity. And I think they win that game by single digits, maybe low double digits, somewhere in there, but it'll be a competitive game.
I think it'll be competitive. The fact that it's at Anadarko is why it could get ugly if it got ugly.
Absolutely.
But because them Anadarko fans are going to come out and grab it.
Home court matters. I don't care what anybody says. It does.
It definitely does. It definitely plays and I think it matters more in small
Absolutely.
school
I was just
than it does in
say,
the big schools.
Everybody comes out. You don't miss. Everybody that's in the community comes out and supports the team. That's what I love about basketball in small towns.
A lot of times in the 6A and 5A, it's only rival games that you get the Edlam games, or you get the Norman versus Norman North, or the Westmore, the Moore War.
Yep.
Those games are packed. It's not always the case, in those big schools like that.
Yep.
So it's still, in my opinion, better than when it's the state, because I still feel like the venue, the LNC is not the right venue for but we could get into a whole nother show about that.
Yeah.
When the new state fairgrounds is open, I don't understand why they just don't have every one of them there. But
and be
don't get mad at me, whoever sets all that stuff up. But
be strategic about the timing of the game, so if people can go to the big games and whatnot. So it's
even in this, like tomorrow, all the games for 4A and down are at the same time as the 5A and 6A first round.
Yep.
It's just impossible unless you have a kid on the team, and you're only going to, for anybody else that's a fan, a media, a scout, whatever, it's very hard to pick, on these games. And it's like, why people go, why? When we talked about it, why didn't we get a lot of coverage? Well, it's like, because until it gets further on and it's two more well-known teams, as far as media and coverage-wise, that's the part that everybody wants to know why they're not getting talked about.
Correct.
That's why.
And I would agree with that too. I mean, these kids work very hard to get through and get into the state tournament. And when you get to the state tournament, man, it needs to be all guns blazing, media, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal. To me, some of these kids will never play outside of high school, and this should be like a Super Bowl, and it should be laid out with people, thinking about what's best for the kids and how do we get promotion and make it as big as possible.
And the state, fairgrounds have had some great championship games over the last couple of years. Douglas last year had the entire east side out there. That was a great setting.
And Weatherford had their
side out there. And then same with Dale. The crowd was packed with Dale last year. And then the year before, I remember Millwood.
Man, I just get excited thinking about this.
That video popped up the other day on my Instagram, and I shared it, of Millwood when Chance Davis was a freshman.
Yep.
And he's like telling Ricky,
"Give me the ball."
He's like, "I got this, Ricky." And I mean, like that moment gives me goosebumps.
That was like a viral moment. I swear.
Oh yeah, that's everybody in the country saw that. That was supreme confidence from a freshman.
And
Bubba Davis does have confidence anyway.
And he hit it.
And he's still over at Millwood, and maybe he's going to be expected to hit some big shots for them when we get into 3A. We'll talk about him. But that was a very special moment. I'll never forget that moment either. So as we get into it now, Douglas versus Tecumseh. Douglas by a lot. Can you go ahead and read me the score from the Douglas game, the first round?
What was 89-4, Aztec Charter. We'll just move on from that.
Yeah, that's
4-team, 89-4. Hey, Douglas is good.
Have fun with Douglas Trojans.
Yeah.
I mean, have fun with that.
Yeah,
just.
I'm just telling you right now, the confidence is high, and they've got some serious players on that team. So I'm picking Douglas by a lot against Tecumseh. Moving on to Sequoia. Sequoia gave themselves, I believe, we talked about this on the last podcast, they got a first place vote. Well, we're going to see how that first place vote comes out. Yeah. I'll pick them against Glenpool.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're 21-3 for the season. I think they've had a really fantastic season, so shout out to Sequoia.
Oh, yeah. Judah Gibson for Sequoia Claremore is a sleeper in the 25 class. Stud kid.
Yep.
I think he has a 50-point game this season.
Yeah, no doubt.
Crazy score.
Fantastic. They've had a fantastic year. Mm-hmm. So, shout out to the Sequoia team and the coaching staff there. Fantastic. But I will tell you, what you run into the next round to advance to area, it's going to tell all of us if that first place vote that was given, if that's a real or not.
Well, and Glenpool, that will be a closer game than people think. By the way, it's at Glenpool.
Correct.
So, which is, somebody would have to tell me how that works out, but that they're the teams that are ranked higher. Like Douglas, if Glenpool wins, Douglas plays Glenpool at Glenpool. Why is that game not at Douglas? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll never understand how that works.
Because they're not even, I know it's not about the ranking. That has nothing to do with determining. But
it should matter that you had that great of a regular season to me.
Correct. And my thought process is when I look at Glenpool, they're not even ranked in 4A. So I know it has nothing to do with that and how they pick that. I get that. So I don't want anyone to chime in on that and tell us that we don't know. I get the process.
Yeah, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, to me, does it make sense, like in every sport, the way that you finish usually dictates that you get some type of home court advantage further on.
Correct.
And like I said, this is nothing new. It's been like that. I just don't understand personally why it is the way it is. Because I
would think that Douglas would get that second, the winner of that game, Sequoia Glenpool, that would go to Douglas because they're ranked number 2.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Arguably the best team, and they're coming in with a lot of steam. Of course, Weatherford's been playing well all year, so it is what it is. But, I agree with you.
Well, because they'll play the next 2 games, Douglas. Well, no, Douglas plays at Douglas. They'll play 1 game at Glenpool, and then it moves to Henrietta for the area championship. Yeah. And, we could have predicted these all the way out, to be honest with you, because I probably would have I probably would have Anadarko Douglas in the area championship, and I'm taking Douglas. So
no, me too. That's exactly what I would pick alongside you. So
so that would be the way I did, and I guess we could have done that on the others as far as advancing them a little bit farther forward.
Let's go to Area 4 here.
Let's jump into Area 4, and like we said, to get through all these, we gotta kind of go quick. I like this matchup in the first round.
There's some good ones.
It's not the first round, but I like this matchup, Inola and Catoosa.
Yeah, this is a great matchup. A lot of really good players on the floor on this
both
one.
sides.
On both sides.
That's a matchup.
At Inola, just throwing that out there.
Yep.
Because it's at Inola, because it's such a tough game, I'm going to go with Inola in this one, but I would not be surprised if Catoosa. This is going to be a very close game.
Yeah, and I think that with this game, I really am interested in watching Titus Miller versus Aiden Clark on the other side. I think that's two, Titus is a senior, Aiden's a sophomore, but with their size and their athleticism on both of them, I'm interested in that matchup. I think it comes down to Jackson Welch hitting some big shots for Inola. I think, like you said, it's at home. I'm going to take Inola, but Catoosa, they're a team that could score a ton of points. So I don't know. That's
going to be a very, very interesting game. Jackson, to me, if you're putting it on him to hit some big shots, I'm taking him. I think he is a fantastic shooter.
Well, and I think that Aiden Clark, the sophomore, I think AC is he's one of the best sophomores in the state.
D1 offer already?
Yeah, from Cal Berkeley. I think that not enough people have seen him.
Yeah,
I think that
right.
once they do,
small town
kid. I think that this is the perfect opportunity for AC to have his blow up and get your team to state, and everybody will know your name.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, like you said, though, Coach Drake, he's got the guys playing some good basketball down there at Catoosa.
And like I said, Titus has played a lot of basketball.
Yep.
I expect Titus he's not going to go out
just
easily.
Past his 1,500 points mark for the team.
Great kid. He's going to do really well. Anyways, I expect him to have lights out.
And he'll have a big game in that game too. So he's going to be a load to stop. So it'll be interesting. Getting into foul trouble, there could be some things happen there. You just never know what type of refs you get and how they'll let them play. And I mean, it all comes down to those things, unfortunately, determine a lot of this. So.
Yep. Shout out to Coach Drake at Catoosa, and also to the staff at Inola. We met them when we were at the TOC.
Correct.
We were eating at a local little restaurant across the road there, and we met the entire staff. Great people.
Yes. That's right.
Big
I forgot
fans
all about that.
of Flagrant 2. So shout out to you guys too over at Inola. Next game, Medill, Chakotah. I'm taking Medill.
I'm taking Medill.
Ethan Wilkerson. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Ethan Wilkerson is going to show the state why he's been slept on.
Correct.
For however many years it's been. He's just done nothing but show up, blue collar work ethic, strong as an ox, great kid that's played in pro skills his entire career in EYBL. He's committed to Southeastern. I think that he's a kid to me that I think that not enough people have ever talked about him.
And it'll change.
But I think that might even change before he ends his senior season right here.
Yep.
Because I think that Medill has a possibility of making a run all the way.
I do too.
All the way.
I think being very competitive too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I look at the way these matchups are. I really do like Medill to go pretty far in this.
Yep.
So and that we could see. Look at the next matchup and have Inola and Medill. That's a great game. And what I was going to say is I wish some of these games weren't tomorrow. Like Inola Catoosa, if that was on any other day, if that was tonight, I'd be going to see that. But because it's on the first night of 6A, that's the hard part about it is that you have to pick and choose your games.
You have to pick and choose.
I would love to watch that matchup.
That would be a top 2 or 3 game entire state.
Yes, I would love to watch that matchup.
Because the players involved, the teams involved, everything around. So, yeah.
Yep, no doubt about it.
So if you're looking for a good game to go watch in Inola Catoosa, those of you that are on that
up
side
in that area,
up in that area where it's a little more convenient, we highly recommend that game.
Yep. So we're taking Medill. We're both taking Medill.
Chakotah.
Over Chakotah. Next game, Muldrow and Tulsa McLean. I'm going to go McLean.
I'm going to go McLean too.
I think Trey Crosland coming over there, KJ Nichols, both two seniors.
Yep.
Both super athletic. I seen Trey Crosland play a lot in the summer.
Yep.
With team First out of Tulsa.
Yep.
I think that he lit it up this summer. Really got to watch him, and I like him a lot. I think too much athleticism, too much scoring from those two. I like Tulsa McLean to advance.
I agree.
In that one against Muldrow, and I think that we'll jump right into Perkins Tryon and Fort Gibson.
Perkins.
Yep, I got Perkins.
This is another team right here that I think is going to make a deep run.
Well, a team that has literally played together from what I've been told, like their whole life. Like these kids have always played together.
Yeah, these kids kind of remind me of the Kingfisher boys that won the state title and then last year lost in the semifinals to Douglas by a hair. They grew up playing basketball together.
Yes.
And when you grow up playing together, I grew up with a small group of guys myself in this little small town in Ohio, Napoleon, Ohio. Shout out to Napoleon, Ohio, where I'm from, that grew up with boys playing together since you were knee-high, since elementary school.
Yeah.
I think they're going to make a deep run. So
And I think that with Tucker Shepard his three-point shooting. Dylan Davidson has been excellent for Perkins this whole year. The athleticism of Quincy Mouton, who's a two-sport kid. I think there's way too much firepower on that squad.
Yes.
I agree. Similar to Medill, I think both those teams got a chance to kind of get far into this thing and both possibly get into state. Is that the last one?
Yeah. That's it for now.
Oh, that's your 4 areas on the winner's side right now.
Yep, on the
like we
winner's
said,
side.
we could go all day and tell you what ifs on the loser side because there's going to be a team that gets into state on that other side. Absolutely. So we got a couple of teams that are going to get into state from those sides. So it would be just take too long to go into every one of those matchups. You want to hop into 3A?
Yeah, but before I do, I want to talk about this because I mentioned this earlier in the podcast about a young man that I thought was a really good talent. The kid by the name of Bridge Barrett from Sulphur. I got to talk and I watched the game. Really good player. I mean, Sulphur has they're a young team, but he is a very talented kid. Probably 6 foot, 6'1". Handles the basketball well, both right and left hand. Shoots the ball well, smart. Does a lot of things well. Rebounds. He's a good defender.
Yeah.
He's a kid, and I got to talking to him after the game, and didn't play spring or summer ball this last year. Doesn't have a trainer, and I would have sworn, and my jaw dropped talking to him after the game. This kid is talented. I mean, and he's a multi-sport player.
I was going to say he must be a multi-sport if he doesn't play.
He plays 3 sports actually.
Yeah, that's why.
So, I'm blown away. This kid. If I had and I think he's a sophomore, so he would be a 2026 kid.
Yeah.
Right? If people are needing a 2026 kid with loads of talent, I mean, I'm talking a lot of talent. This kid is a kid that you got to have on your roster. I'm telling you right now, depending on how things go this year, I don't have a 16U team this year.
Yeah.
But if I did, I'd pick that kid up in a heartbeat. I would pick him up in a heartbeat. The kid is talented.
My eyes have lit up because I don't know him. So there you've just given me someone to go check him out.
I'm telling you. His name's Bridge Barrett.
Yeah.
Note that down. Write that down. Whoever's out there looking, yourself.
Myself.
This kid's talented, and this comes without all the things that you see, a lot of the kids that we talk about on the podcast. That when you see a kid that hasn't been in, he gets out and works out in the gym himself.
Yeah.
He gets up shots. He does the things that a lot of us do or have done. But I could have sworn that based on his skill set that he's working with a trainer.
Yeah.
I was just I looked at him and I said, people need to know who you are.
Well,
and I said, I'm going to change that. He said, well, I don't do those things, but, I may start doing that, but I haven't done it to date. And I'm like, Well,
he might have 3 articles written about him now because we have a lot of media companies that other media companies that listen to this podcast religiously.
Shout out to Bridge Barrett out of Sulphur. Fantastic kid. Really nice family too. They were very kind and spoke to me after the game as well. But you got a really talented young man there. So sky's the limit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then I think that we'll jump now into 3A because we got to go at rapid pace here to get them all in.
I'll let you name them. And
Area 1, let's go. Number 9, Metro Christian versus number 13, Keys Park Hill. That should be a good matchup. I'm going Metro Christian, too much size. Troy Moses, Wyatt Powell out there. I think that they're just Jackson Sowards. Metro Christian didn't have as good of a season to me as as what their talent suggests.
Yes, would agree. They had a tough schedule though too.
And I was going to say, but guess what? Metro Christian, you can change all that right now.
Yeah.
Whatever happened before doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. New season. Go out there and win the whole thing. I mean, you got a chance just as good as anybody. With the roster that they have in the guard, Wyatt Powell is as explosive as I've seen him. If he can be like that and Troy Moses rebounds the ball and Sowards does, a little bit of point forward stuff all around, they've got a chance to get pretty far in this thing. I'm going Metro Christian for sure in that game.
Me as well.
Yep. And then we jump into Spyro and Hevner. and I'm going to take. I'm sorry, Roland and Hevner.
Roland and Hevner.
And I'm taking Roland.
Roland, all right.
No doubt about it. And what I was going to say about them is, and I'm trying to find it right
Roland's
here.
a top-tier team in 3A. I could see them making a big run or a pretty good run in state.
and Roland's got Devon Hall, who's a 2026 kid who's kind of just making a name for himself. Really a good kid and looks like he's going to be someone that I want to see a little bit more personally. I have seen him once. I'm trying to get to see him a little bit more. Unlike some of the others, I don't give out evaluations off seeing a kid for one time. I like to watch them 3, 4, 5 times before I feel comfortable giving a real
because
evaluation.
you got to put them up against some competition.
Exactly.
You have bad games. There's a myriad of things that could
when you
go
don't
wrong
play outside of when you don't play in a major metropolitan city, and even then until you get up against
you get later in the season, you get into these types of scenarios.
Or even in some schools, it may not be until the summer where you get to play in kids from other regions and stuff to realize how good you really are.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like I think sometimes it's sometimes
hard.
Best. When we're talking about ranking a kid, for me, and I'm going to put him in the top 5, I've got to see him go against a lot better competition before I do that. Yeah. So, but I do like that kid, and I think that Roland's got himself a little gem in Devon Hall. I got Roland in that one, so that's where I would go with that. Alva, Lincoln Christian. Who you got?
And I'm going to go Alva.
Okay, we're gonna split there because I got Lincoln Christian. I think the junior Cannon Williams has been really good for them.
That's going to be a really good game. Yeah. Lincoln Christian's ranked 14th and Alva's 20th. Lincoln Christian 13-11. His record had tough schedule. And Alva's 17-7. So both. That's going to be a really good game.
I look for Cannon Williams to have a monster game in that, and then if he stays there, they have the possibility of having Parker McDaniel next year as one of the better freshmen in the state. So I think that in the 2028 class, if they can hold on to him, they got themselves a superstar in the making over there. Victory Christian Blackwell. I'm going Victory Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And I expect that Victory Christian is going to – Chris Mason, I think, is going to put it this – he's not going to want to go out early or anything like that in his senior year.
Nope.
I expect him and Mikey Doctor, the seniors, to really step up big in the playoffs. And then I think Gene Mason could have his coming out party. I've already seen what Gene can do. I know what's ahead of him, but I think the rest of the state may need to lay eyes on Gene Mason.
If I'm picking a top 4 in the state, Victory Christian is in the top 4 in the state. I picked them to have a deep run in this playoff.
Yes.
So I'm wholeheartedly with you on that one.
I think that what they're going to do is too much. I think Chris Mason down low is going to be a load for almost every single team that they match up until possibly the semifinals, finals of the state championship.
OCS, when you
that
get
would
into
be the teams that would, and those kind of games would just be when they play if they play Cash Hall, that'll be like a stylistic matchup.
Oh, yeah.
So I got Victory Christian. I've got Victory Christian winning the next game and moving on, and I've got Victory Christian and Metro Christian playing in the area championship in Kellyville for the 3rd time, I think, this season. And I think I want to say they each split a game. I'd have to look back on that. I could be lying about that. I know Victory definitely won one.
Hang on just a second and I'll tell you.
Because I would like to see that matchup too. Because Metro has size. So they got a matchup for Chris Mason.
Oh, yeah, Metro has plenty of size. So let's look here. So against Metro Christian, they beat Metro Christian early in the season, 65-58.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, Metro Christian, and then they beat them in overtime, 64-57.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so they're 2-0 against them. But the last time they played them at Metro Christian, it was an overtime game to beat them. So that's going to be. I would probably go with Victory Christian there, but it's going to be a tough game, and it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a year, right?
Yes.
So. I mean, in Metro Christian, they've got a really good coaching staff.
So Victory did win both.
But they won both, but the second one was the first one wasn't a runaway either. It was a close game, 65-58. So you're talking a 7-point win, and then the second time was a similar 5 to 7 point win, but it was in overtime.
Yeah,
so,
Chris Mason had a monster game in one of those. I think it was the second one.
So, both teams that matchup makes a lot of sense to me in terms of what we are very likely to see in the next round or during that to get to state.
Okay,
area, rather.
And then we'll hop into Area 2. Number 4, Cassia Hall, who's played as good as anybody in the state over the last month and a half versus Salina. I got Cassia Hall. I mean, too much firepower. Dallas Lowe, Jason Kim, Drake and Daniel Jarrett, Memphis Duffy. We talked about Cassia Hall, their best days are ahead, but they're going to make a run this year anyway. So I've got Cassia Hall by a lot in that game. Beggs, Kansas. Beggs, the home of Rod Thompson. I think that they always got some athletes, and they are always going to play you tough. I'm going to take Beggs in the upset.
Well, I'm going to go with Kansas.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so and then we'll have Kansas playing Cassia Hall. I've got Cassia Hall. Cassia
Hall is going to be – Cassia Hall is playing, I think, could very well play for the state title.
Yep. Lone Grove, Valiant. I got Valiant winning that game. I think Valiant's had a great season.
I agree with that. I have friends in Lone Grove, but shout out to the Lone Grove friends. Dusty and Crystal, you know who you are. Shout out to them, but I'm going with Valiant in this one.
I got Valiant. Idabel, Hugo. I've got Idabel by a lot. I talked about him last episode. JP Sumo, one of the most underrated 2024s in the state. Shoot the ball from 30 feet, just a hell of a scorer. Lights everybody up. Shane Threadgill, athletic, great finisher. I talked about them both last. I've got Idabel beating Valiant. I've got Idabel playing Cassia Hall. I've got Idabel winning that game. I think Idabel is the truth. And now with that said, I think Cassia Hall is still going to get into state because I think they're going to hop onto the other side and win anyway. So
you think Idabel beats Cassia Hall?
Yep, I've got that. I've got them. I've got Idabel, which they're 6 and Cassia Hall's 4. I've got Idabel. I think that what you're going to see is the freshmen of Cassia Hall. They've been very good this year.
Yeah.
It's how will they when they lock up against Idabel. Yeah. Idabel has been one of the best teams in the state. It's just no one. They're so far away. Yeah. It's a 4-hour drive. True. No one is seeing them from the metro. So. Shouts out to you guys. I've watched you quite a few times on stream, and I've seen some of those kids quite a bit in the summer. So I think that I expect a huge tournament from JP Sumo. I think he is a kid that every junior college in Oklahoma should be looking at. And, I mean, he could probably play. I mean, he's probably some D2s I need to get in on him.
Yeah.
He's a stud. I think that, he's about 5'11" lead guard, but the scoring, if you see this kid shoot and he's 6-7 feet behind the 3-point line and you just know it's going, he's backpedaling before it even goes, like right as it leaves his hand. He knows it's money. Great kid, great scorer. I like Idabel a lot. That would be a matchup worthy of Okie ball, Idabel, Cassia Hall. That might get me to come wherever that's at. It's probably 5 hours away, but I might, head over to that.
So let's quickly get into Area 3 then.
Yes.
Crooked Oak, Washington.
Crooked Oak. I got Crooked Oak. Elijah Garcia, exciting quick point guard. The Martinez brothers. Too much experience.
Crooked Oak is gonna. I see them making it to state.
Crooked Oak's going to be really good. Washington's not a bad squad.
No,
they've had some good wins on the season. I think Crooked Oak a little too much for them. I look for Elijah Garcia to put on a show in that, and same with the Martinez brothers. They get
Kellyville,
some big
Kiefer.
I'm going to go Kellyville on that. I think that it wouldn't be. That one's like, it's not much of a shock if Kiefer would win that game.
Yeah, it's Kiefer 17th.
And I could almost flip a coin in that.
It's 11 and 17 in state. So Kiefer is 17 and 7, Kellyville 19 and 5. I'm going with Kellyville too. I think it'll be a double or single digit win, but I think they get the win.
Yep. And then we jump into Cassidy, Holdenville. I like Cassidy. I think Bryson Buckingham is he sat there at Edmond North for so long, and he had some injury problems over a couple years, and then he waited his turn. And I think from the second he got to Cassidy, he's done nothing but play out of this world. I mean, and he's elevated his game in a personal level too. The athleticism and the bounciness that he's shown this year, I'm like, where did that come from? This kid always was a good shooter, and even going back to his days with Shield and the old Jay Lakin teams and all that. Like I've seen him play a million times.
Shout out to the Shield boys.
Yeah, Shield boys are all doing well.
I mean, looking at them, they're all doing well. We kind of grew up around them, and so. Yeah.
But I think the senior with leadership of him, and then Caden Leash, the sophomore. Well. I like Caden Leash a lot. I think he's going to go. He's going to make himself a household name. I got Cassidy winning that.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
The next game, Millwood, Bethel. I'm taking Millwood.
I'm taking Millwood.
I think Isaiah Wilkes will finally be back if he's not back for that game, he'll be back for the next game after that, which he's been out for a while with the back problem. They need Isaiah Wilkes.
Yep.
They will need him to win state. They can get by. And they might even be able to get by the first game in state, but they will need him to win this thing.
Yep.
And with him, they are a definite pick that you could put up against OCS. It's a completely different style, but we saw what happened when OCS played them without him.
Yep.
He's a catalyst. Millwood needs all hands on deck if they're going to win that thing.
Agree.
So I would have Millwood lining up against Cassidy. I would have Millwood. I think Zon Williams
probably just too much there in terms of team-wise with Millwood.
Yeah.
Cassie's got some really good players.
I think what you're going to see is Millwood. I think you're going to see Zon Williams, a senior. He's going to want to go out on his shield. Like he's going to want to give the best impression he can for any of these JUCOs in Oklahoma that need to be on Zon anyways.
Yep.
But him, Bubba Davis, who we talked about earlier, supreme confidence.
Yes.
If the game is on the line, get the ball to Chance Bubba Davis. I like him. If they've got Amari Barrett, has had a great season, T.O.'s brother.
That's a great point.
I really like Amari Barrett's defense. I like what he's doing. I think next year everybody in the state will be talking about Amari Barrett. If they're not already, I think they will. But you throw Isaiah Wilkes into that, it's just too much.
Yep.
I've got Millwood knocking off Cassidy. I've got Millwood playing Crooked Oak, and I've got Millwood winning. I just need to know if Isaiah Wilkes is going to be 100% healthy.
That's the big question, because I could even see if he's not completely healthy, Cassidy could beat them.
It's possible.
It's possible. I think Millwood will win that game, but if he's not healthy, Crooked Oak.
The one thing about Millwood is defensively they will play hard.
Correct.
And they have the athletes to do it.
No,
so,
I agree.
So and I mean I didn't even mention guys like Chris Clay, and they have a freshman in Braylon Bradshaw who's a kind of a banger bruiser down low, great passer from the post. I think that they got too much. Coach Dorian will have them. That will be a good game. But yes, the whole storyline of the entire 3A could be the health of Isaiah Wilkes.
Yep.
If
True.
Isaiah Wilkes is healthy, Millwood has a chance to win the go ball.
Yep.
It's
totally
plain
agree.
and simple to me. If not, then I'm probably going to favor an OCS victory type thing.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of get in there as we get a little further.
I don't know. It's tough. Luke Gray is having a season that we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, and who's really going to match up with Luke Gray in the 3A?
Special.
I mean, who really?
No, special.
It's all style of play. I get it.
Yeah.
So, Area 4, Lindsay and Oklahoma Christian School.
Hold on one second. I think I might be
trying to use Lindsay.
Trying to use the V-Dog stuff. He does an excellent job, too, every year putting these things together.
I'm going to go with Lindsay.
Over OCS?
OCS. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I was thinking of a different Christian school. Sorry. Yeah, no. I'm going with OCS. Sorry.
No, wait a minute.
No.
That's the upset of the century.
No, it's not happening. Sorry, Lindsay. I was thinking of a different school.
I was going, Oklahoma Christian's been sitting there on a bye. They're waiting.
I don't know what I was thinking. Oklahoma Christian School.
But once again,
OCS.
This is in my mind. Why is this game at Lindsay? Oklahoma Christian.
Come on.
Finishes number 1 overall.
Well, they got to give somebody a chance, and why best to be home. Lindsay's a good squad. Don't get me wrong, but Luke Gray.
They snuck by Comanche by 1 point.
And they've got other guys on that squad, too.
I've got Oklahoma Christian winning that game by 30, 40 points.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be playing some guys off, deep on the bench at that point.
I've got other guys on that squad outside of Luke Gray that I think,
Yeah.
fantastic
Carson
player.
Jones.
Jones to me
Kyler
is,
Brown.
Yeah, I mean,
Junior.
I could go on and on about Carson Jones and what I think is going to possibly could happen with him throughout college. That kid's going to only just continue.
Yep.
So.
And in the next round, there's already an upset that happened. Kingston knocked off Atoka.
Yes.
And I still like Atoka on that other side to go kind of far. They're hit or miss. They're so explosive. Donis Holloman, has quietly put together a good season. Kayshawn Shields, really good player. He just got picked up an offer. They've got some explosive, dynamic guards at Atoka. I'm surprised that Kingston did what they did to them. I'm taking Kingston. Reed Kaysen, a kid that doesn't get talked, 6'10", with some guard ball handling skills, and I've heard he might be, and I've heard he might be reclassing, so that will be interesting as far as following his recruiting.
Yeah.
I know that I think he's possibly talking about reclassing into the 2025, doing some type of post grad or something like that. That will benefit a kid like him. 6'10", can handle the ball on the break. I mean. Another kid that, to me, if Reed Kaysen was at a 6A school, everybody in the state would know who he is, and and in my opinion, he'd have a couple more offers. So he does have some Division I offers.
Yep. You've got Kingston.
I've got Kingston.
I've got Kingston as well.
Okay. So we'd have Kingston, Oklahoma Christian. I got Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah, I got OCS. Sorry. I was thinking it was a different school when I just
I was going to let you ride with that because you would have looked like the biggest genius in the history of basketball if that happened.
I wouldn't have been a genius. I can assure you of that. And I think Lindsay's a good squad too. But
they're going up. We're not picking against Oklahoma Christian.
They're going up against a team that I think is the odds-on favorite to win all of 3A. So. I mean, there's some others in there too. We talked about them, but Chandler, Mount St. Mary.
I've got Mount St. Mary.
I do too.
And Chandler's good.
Yep,
they're a good team. They're a really good team. They've got some youngsters on their team, some freshmen and sophomores that are really good. But I think Mount St. Mary with Jody Shavers down at the post, Eli Jones at point guard. I think Eli, one of the quickest guards in the state. Not very big, super explosive. He knives through the lane.
Yep.
He was at Cassidy last year. He's over at Mount St. Mary. I think Mount St. Mary. They squeaked by Eufaula. They're going to have to bring their A game against Chandler or they will get beat in that game because it's at Chandler.
Yep.
But I'm going to take Mount St. Mary.
I'll take Mount St. Mary as well. Jones and Heritage Hall.
Heritage Hall, very young squad.
Yes.
Heritage Hall is probably a few years away. I mean, they got an experienced guy in Rashad Smith, who's always a gamer, two-sport kid. Some young guys, Porter Gillespie, who can shoot. T.J. Williams, who is an up-and-coming star in the freshman class in the 2027, running with Team Griffin this year. I like them, but I'm taking Jones. I think Coach Harris's team. I like Creighton. Creighton Jones, to me, is a football stud. But for people that haven't seen him, he is a monster kid in the post. Yep. I mean, dunk on top of your head, physically big, strong kid. Looks like an NFL tight end built by his body.
Yeah, I'm picking Jones as well. I think Jones, Heritage Hall's youth is not going to help them there. And it's at Jones, by the way.
Yeah, I think Coach Jordy Harris's team is going to be too much for Heritage Hall. It's at Jones. I think Creighton Jones is going to eat down low and have himself a monster game in that. I'm taking Jones to win that. I would hate
to be in this bracket because OCS is in the bracket. I got OCS.
And then I've got Jones taking on Mount St. Mary's. I have Jones advancing to play OCS, and I've got OCS winning.
Me as well.
And like I said, then we have so many other scenarios of what could happen on that left side of getting the other team into state. Because if you lose that game, it doesn't mean you're not going to state. You just got to go play another game on the other side.
It's a longer road.
Yeah, just a longer road. So it's so hard too many hypotheticals when we get into that of what could happen to try to predict that right now.
So real quick, we'll go to the sponsorship side of it. Nate Logan of Logan Elite Basketball, training out of Destiny Christian High School in Del City, Oklahoma. He provides affordable group and individual training options every week. Logan Elite Training aims to help players develop their skill sets, basketball IQ, confidence, and ultimately help them become more prepared for their current teams as well as for the next level. Logan Elite currently trains some of the best high school and junior high players in the state. Visit LoganEliteBasketball.com or message Logan on his Instagram at NateLogan_Logan Elite for more information on how to get signed up. highly recommend Nate. Nate does a great job. Looking for a trainer out there, you're not going to find one any better. He's a great teacher. Kids love him. I could go on and on about Nate, but shout out to Nate. Does a great job, along with many others. But I transitioned from that. Again, we're always looking for sponsorships, and we're also looking for engagement too. So chime in, give us your thoughts, what you'd like to hear. If there's teams that were left out that you'd like to talk about, certainly that are in the state tournament, we'd love to talk about those. And I'll also give a shout out to Jackson Zerby on the podcast studio. Studio 7725 or 7725. Mm-hmm. Check out Jackson if you're interested in doing podcasts. He's got the best studio around. Obviously, you can see with what we're dealing with here. Fantastic studio, and he does a great job. Got the best equipment. I mean, I could go on, but check out Jackson in the studio if you're interested in doing any sort of podcasting. It's the best around. So.
Now, we're going to try to fit in 2A, but we're going to have to go at kind of a rapid pace, I think.
Go ahead and pull them up.
Let's go Latta, Davis. I'm going to go Davis. They're number 19. I'm going to take Davis.
Davis as well.
Moving on to Latta, though I think that game will be closer than thing. This one, I don't know if I want to let you see it because you might take Elmore City Purnell over Dale.
No, I'm picking Dale. I'm just going to go ahead and end the drama now. I'm picking Dale to win the whole thing.
Yes,
shocker.
So am I. Next, Hobart, Calera. I got Hobart winning.
Me as well, Hobart.
Apache, Vanoss. I've got, and I thought about that one a little bit because I have seen both those teams play. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Apache. I'm going
to go Vanoss.
That's not a bad pick. That could be. I mean, it's an upset in a sense of 116, 110.
Yep.
It's not an upset necessarily on the court.
Yeah.
I've got Hobart taking on Dale in the area championship, and we already know what that is. We got Dale moving on.
By 40.
By a lot.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to, and I'm not going to take but my pick is, depending on how the bracket plays out, if it's in the semifinals or finals, and I haven't gone that far into that bracket. Mm-hmm. But Pecola, I think, is the only team that that could put up a serious challenge there.
Yep. And I've got so the next thing is we've got Riverside, Minko. I've got Riverside.
I'll take Riverside as well.
And next, Hennessy Morrison. I've got Hennessy. Hennessy's had a great season.
Yeah, they
have. Preston, Chelsea. I've got Preston, and I think I'm surprised Preston even finished at 5. I mean, I think that they're with Gervais Gorez and Giorgio Dunn Spencer. I think that they are loaded at the guard position. I expect them to do really well.
Yep.
Christian Heritage. Got a shooter, Tate Campbell, lights out shooter from 3 versus Tonkawa. I've got Christian Heritage.
I got Christian Heritage as well.
Tate Campbell can put himself on the map. I know he's a junior that not a lot of people know.
Tonkawa is 18th and Christian Heritage is 14th, so it's going to be a matchup.
That's definitely going to be a matchup that I think it's a kid like Tate Campbell. He runs with Blueprint Elite in the summer.
Yep.
I don't know that enough people have seen him play because of the school he's at.
Change now.
Kind of a smaller school, but I actually think that they will. He can put himself on the map for people to know who he is going forward. Let's see here. I lost my place on this thing. I'm trying to keep track of I lost the bracket, but 1 second. So we're going into Class 2A, Section 2, or Area 2, I'm sorry. No, that was Area 2. We're done, so we're on to Area 3.
Area 3.
Yep. Went on over.
Is there 3 or 4 areas?
4.
4.
Hooker, Merritt. I got Hooker. Yep. I got Hooker by a lot.
Yep. By a lot.
Fairview versus Crescent. Fairview's 12.
Fairview. Yeah, Fairview versus Crescent. I take Fairview.
I like them, but that's one I could have on upset special. I'm
going Fairview.
It's at Fairview. I'm gonna go Fairview.
Yeah, they're 12th.
But I like Crescent.
Yep.
I think Crescent's got a chance to do something in that. Hartshorn and Central Salisaw. I'm gonna go Central Salisaw.
Central Salisaw as well.
Okay, and that game's at Ketchum.
Yep.
Number 9, Oktaha versus Kip Tulsa. I'm taking Oktaha.
Oktaha.
Yep,
for
number
sure.
9. They've had a good season.
Yes, they have.
I think that they're going to win. Kip Tulsa's got a few good players.
17-7 on the season.
Yep. So that's Area 3. We're trying to fit this all in, and We'd like to go over each and every one of these teams, but what we'll do is when they get into state, we'll give a more thorough breakdown of the teams in 2A.
And we'll have the brackets out for everybody.
And Class A we'll even get into when we get into state. There's just too many and too much, not enough time. We got Worcester versus Warner. It's number 17 versus the number 13.
Oh, so I'm going to go Worcester.
Okay, and I'm going to take Warner in that one, so we've got a difference of opinion there. Pecola versus Hulbert. Pecola. Dakota Terrell, Garrett Scott. Yeah. And that's all we got to say.
23-1, number 2.
Hal versus Nowata. Honestly, I think I'm going to go Hal.
I'm going to do
however you say that. I'm going to go that. And that was one of the ones where in the first round, both teams were upset.
Yep.
Hayworth and Colcord both got beat, and now they're going to be playing on the loser bracket. So one of them probably has a good chance of coming out of that other side. And then we've got Fairland and Wyandotte. And
Fairland.
Fairland. I think that you're going to go with the team right there. That's the higher seed.
And they've had a really good season, 19-5, 8th in state, done a really good job, had a tough schedule. So there shouldn't be – if they take care of business, they should win that game.
Yes, and I think that's where it's going to come down to is when we get into state, like we talked about, we're going to try to do that bracket challenge, like you said. It's just there's so many teams right now.
The Flagrant 2 bracket challenge.
It's coming. The state challenge. We'll try to do Class A up to 6A state. So you have your 8 teams in each. If you want to do it by a point system or just whoever has the most overall wins at the end of the thing, it could be as simple as that.
We'll just peer the points per
kind of like they do in the March Madness, where you get more points for the further in round, and your bracket could be shot right off the bat if you pick a team that loses or you pick a team to win it all that loses early on. You know what I'm saying? That's how it could be. So we will see. I mean, I think that there's already been some upsets like we just talked about. We went through, but because of the double elimination, it's not like some of these teams that lost that first game are out of this by any means. They have their chance to work themselves back in and get into state. And some of them, it might be the motivation factor that they need. They went in against these small schools, played a smaller school. Hey, we're number 10 and they're not even ranked, and they went in there and got beat. But their season's not over. They just got to have the longer road.
Yep, it's going to be interesting. This is what makes it exciting. Looking forward to the next watching games this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Going to be some fun basketball. And shout out to all the teams that are still in after this weekend. So I'm excited. Going to be watching the Westmore Piedmont game, and you'll be at another game. So
I should be at Edmond North to catch North and Capitol Hill and Putnam City West and Mustang. I think that's one of the best games in the first round in anything. There was so many I want to choose from.
Those are my top 3 right there of the first round for 6A.
I think that one, the one Piedmont, Westmore, Santa Fe, Norman North is a good one.
Yeah, that's the other one.
The ones on the East aren't as good in the first round, but they will be moving on to the next. I think that it's just going to be what the matchups are, who wins and loses, and then goes on to that next round. Like I said, I think when we'll have a new episode come out next week, these games will have already been played by that point. So when this comes out, we're going to know if we're right or wrong right off the bat. These teams will have already won or not. So we can get further into it. The next one, we'll probably be able to talk about area and kind of where these teams have moved in in 5A and 6A. And we'll have a better feel for who's all in these classes. So
more to come. More to come.
So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube, if you're not following us on all of our socials, I don't know what you're doing. You need to. When we got to 1,000 followers
and subscribe.
Yep. When we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we're giving away a prize package. When we get to 1,000 followers on Instagram and Twitter, we're going to give away. And that doesn't take nothing but a click, a little like. So, to all of our fans out there, just give us a like. We talked about it. The numbers are crazy on iTunes and Apple, and we realize we're more of a listening pod than we are watching. But go ahead and give our YouTube like. It just helps us out.
Yep.
Keeps us engaged.
Please.
Yeah. Tell us what you like like about the pod, what you don't like about the pod. Send us a message, comment it, whatever you want. We don't care. It only makes it that much better, and we want to give you guys exactly the content that you guys want. Yep. So, we appreciate you, Oklahoma, and we're out.